Most of us like to think of ourselves as animal lovers. We coo over puppies, share videos of otters holding hands, and tear up when the family dog passes. There's something deep in the human spirit that feels drawn to the creatures we share this planet with, a kinship, almost. A sense that we're all in this together. Nature, however, did not get the memo. Out there, beyond the warm glow of our screens and the comfort of our living rooms, exists a world that is breathtakingly indifferent to human survival. Some creatures have spent millions of years perfecting the art of the sting, the bite, and the ambush. Others are so small we can barely see them, yet carry destruction on a scale that has reshaped the course of human history. A few look almost cuddly until they don't. This is a countdown of the animals that pose the greatest threat to human life on Earth. Not villains, exactly, they are simply doing what evolution built them to do. But make no mistake, whether through venom, violence, or something far more invisible, these creatures remind us that we were never quite at the top of the food chain as we imagined. We begin our countdown not with a predator, but with something perhaps more unsettling, an animal we have long associated with wisdom, gentleness, and even mourning. The elephant. Revered across cultures, immortalized in folklore, and beloved by virtually everyone who has ever watched one lumber peacefully across a documentary screen. And yet, coming in at number 10, the elephant earns its place on this list with a kind of quiet authority that matches its size. Don't let the herbivore label fool you. These are the largest land animals on Earth, and they are fiercely, sometimes fatally, territorial. African elephants alone account for roughly 500 human deaths every year, a number that tends to surprise people, right up until they've seen footage of a full charge. At speeds between 15 and 20 miles per hour, several tons of muscle and bone bearing down on you leaves almost no room for escape. Death, when it comes, usually arrives via trampling or crushing, blunt, overwhelming, and absolute. Most attacks happen when humans encroach on elephant territory or stumble between a mother and her calf. The elephant isn't cruel. It's simply enormous, protective, and entirely unimpressed by us. At number 9, we trade brute mass for something altogether more elegant and far more chilling. The king cobra doesn't need to weigh several tons to command your complete, undivided attention. It just needs to rise. The world's longest venomous snake, stretching up to 19 feet, the king cobra possesses a theatrical flair that feels almost deliberate. When threatened, it flattens its ribs outward into that signature hood, lifts the front third of its body off the ground, and looks you more or less in the eye. It can peer over tall grass this way, scanning, assessing, deciding. There is something deeply unnerving about a snake that can look at your face. But the real danger isn't the display. It's what follows. A single bite delivers enough neurotoxin to kill 20 adult humans. The venom attacks the nervous system with ruthless efficiency, shutting down respiratory function before the victim often fully understands what has happened. And unlike many snakes content to retreat, the king cobra will chase. It is aggressive when cornered, relentless when provoked, and shockingly fast for a creature without legs. Graceful, ancient, and lethally precise, this is a snake that has earned every syllable of its name. No creature on this list has colonized the human imagination quite like number 8. Before Jaws made an entire generation afraid of the bathtub, the great white shark was already the ocean's undisputed apex predator, and it has spent roughly 400 million years perfecting that role. Weighing in at over 4,000 pounds and built like a torpedo with teeth, the great white is an engineering marvel of pure, efficient lethality. But here's the detail that tends to haunt people: most attacks on humans aren't predatory. The shark is simply curious. It investigates unfamiliar objects the only way its anatomy allows, with its mouth. What marine biologists coolly term a test bite translates, in human terms, to catastrophic blood loss, severed limbs, or worse. The shark often swims away afterward, apparently satisfied with the data. Cold comfort, that. At 35 miles per hour through water, there is no outswimming one. The ocean is its domain entirely, and humans who enter it do so, whether they acknowledge it or not, as guests without guaranteed safety. The great white doesn't hunt us. It simply doesn't particularly distinguish us from anything else worth investigating, and that indifference is terrifying enough. There is a reason we call it the king of the jungle. Number 7 on our countdown is the lion, and unlike the shark's cold indifference or the cobra's reactive aggression, the lion brings something more unsettling to the table. Strategy. Lions are opportunistic apex predators, but what separates them from most killers on this list is the deliberate, almost patient intelligence behind a hunt. They don't simply chase. They plan. A pride will stake out territory, hide in brush for days, and watch, cataloging movement, identifying the weakest target, waiting for exactly the right moment. Then, in a coordinated strike that would make military tacticians nod with reluctant admiration, they encircle their prey and close the gap simultaneously from multiple directions. By the time the target realizes what's happening, it's already over. Approximately 200 people fall to lion attacks every year, the majority in sub-Saharan Africa, where human settlements increasingly overlap with lion territory. Farmers, herders, and travelers moving at dawn or dusk, prime hunting hours, are most vulnerable. What makes the lion truly formidable isn't just its speed or strength. It's the fact that somewhere out in the tall grass, it may already be watching you. At number 6, we meet perhaps the most deceptive entry on this entire list. No teeth. No roar. No dramatic charge across open savanna. Just a quiet, translucent bell drifting through warm coastal waters, nearly invisible to the naked eye, and one of the most venomous creatures on the planet. The Australian box jellyfish is a masterclass in understated lethality. Its tentacles stretch up to 10 feet, lined with millions of microscopic darts that fire on contact, driving venom directly into the skin. The pain is described as immediate and extraordinary, but pain, in this case, is almost beside the point. Without treatment, the venom attacks the heart, nervous system, and skin cells simultaneously. A victim can be dead within 2 to 5 minutes. That is not a typo. What elevates the box jellyfish from dangerous to truly terrifying is its invisibility. Swimmers simply don't see them coming. There is no warning, no silhouette cutting through the water, no moment of recognition before contact. One instant you're enjoying the ocean, the next, you're in a race against your own cardiovascular system. It doesn't hunt. It doesn't even know you exist. It simply drifts, and that is more than enough. We've had charging elephants, venomous cobras, and an invisible jellyfish that can stop your heart in minutes. Now, at number 5, we downsize dramatically to something you could swat without a second thought. If you saw it coming. The tsetse fly doesn't look like much. A small, unremarkable blood-sucking insect found across sub-Saharan Africa, roughly the size of a common housefly. But tucked inside that forgettable exterior is a biological weapon that has shaped the course of African history for centuries. When the tsetse feeds, it can transmit a microscopic parasite that causes trypanosomiasis, sleeping sickness, a disease that doesn't kill quickly or cleanly, but slowly, methodically dismantles a human being from the inside out. The parasite crosses the blood-brain barrier and attacks the central nervous system. Victims experience personality changes, confusion, and crushing fatigue. Sleep cycles collapse entirely. Eventually, without treatment, the body simply surrenders. Cases have declined in recent decades thanks to concentrated medical intervention, but the disease has never been eradicated. It lingers in remote communities where healthcare access is limited and the flies remain abundant. The tsetse fly doesn't need venom or fangs or speed. It just needs one unguarded moment and a little patience. Number 4 has been killing things, largely unchanged, for over 200 million years. The Nile crocodile didn't need to evolve much. It got the formula right early. Weighing up to 1,600 pounds and stretching over 16 feet, the Nile crocodile is a prehistoric ambush machine, patient, powerful, and almost perfectly camouflaged along the riverbanks where millions of people across Africa collect water, bathe, and fish every single day. It lies motionless for hours, barely distinguishable from a half-submerged log, watching the waterline with eyes that have been watching waterlines since the age of dinosaurs. Then it moves. And when it does, there is almost no time to react. The bite clamps shut with a force that makes further resistance essentially pointless. What follows is the death roll, a violent, spinning dismemberment technique that tears prey apart underwater before the crocodile feeds. It is as brutal as it sounds. Roughly 1,000 people are killed by Nile crocodiles every year, making it Africa's deadliest large predator. Many attacks go unrecorded in remote regions, meaning the true toll is likely higher. Ancient, armored, and utterly unhurried, the Nile crocodile doesn't need to chase you. It simply waits until you come to it. If the crocodile is Africa's most patient killer, number 3 is its most explosive. The hippopotamus rotund, semi-aquatic, and frequently photographed with what can only be described as a look of mild irritation, is the deadliest large land animal on the continent. And it isn't particularly close. Hippos kill roughly 3,000 people every year. That number tends to land with a thud, because nothing in the animal's lumbering, barrel-shaped appearance prepares you for it. We've made them bath toys. Cartoon characters. They do not deserve the gentleness of that reputation. The hippo is extraordinarily territorial and operates with a hair-trigger temperament, particularly in water, its domain, and on land between dusk and dawn when it grazes. Fishermen and villagers who share riverbanks with them frequently pay the highest price. When a hippo charges, it does so with shocking speed for an animal of its mass. And when it connects, the math is grotesque. A mouth that opens 150 degrees wide, teeth stretching up to a foot long, and a bite force of 1,800 pounds per square inch. There is no negotiating with that. No playing dead, no backing away slowly. The hippo has made its feelings entirely clear. Number 2 will surprise you. It surprised us too. The dog. Humanity's oldest companion, the creature we have bred and loved and invited into our homes for over 15,000 years. The animal that greets you at the door, sleeps at the foot of your bed, and somehow always knows when you're having a bad day. And yet, here it is, second on a list of the most dangerous animals on Earth. The irony is almost too much to sit with. In the United States alone, dogs bite approximately 5 million people every year. Most are not fatal. Most are the predictable result of a frightened or poorly trained animal in a domestic setting. But zoom out to the global picture, and the numbers shift dramatically. In regions with limited veterinary infrastructure and sprawling populations of feral dogs, the real killer isn't the bite, it's what comes with it. Rabies. A disease that, once symptomatic, carries a fatality rate approaching 100%. Wild and stray dogs remain the primary vector for human rabies transmission worldwide, responsible for tens of thousands of deaths annually across Asia and Africa. Man's best friend. The world's second deadliest animal. Both things are true, and the tension between them says something quietly devastating about the complicated world we share with other species. And so we arrive at number 1. Not the great white shark. Not the king cobra. Not a creature with prehistoric armor or a bite force measured in tons. Our most dangerous animal weighs less than a single raindrop. The mosquito. It seems almost insulting. A pest we swat reflexively, complain about at summer barbecues, and repel with a cheap candle. And yet no creature in the history of life on Earth has killed more human beings. Not even close. Epidemiologists and historians largely agree that the mosquito has been responsible for the deaths of nearly half of all humans who have ever lived. Let that settle for a moment. The mechanism is deceptively simple. The mosquito doesn't kill you itself, it borrows your blood and leaves something behind. Zika. West Nile. Dengue. Yellow fever. And most lethally, malaria, a disease that infects roughly 700 million people and claims a life every 30 seconds. Every single day. Elephants, lions, crocodiles, they are localized dangers, contained by geography. The mosquito operates on every continent except Antarctica, in every climate, at every hour. We built civilizations. We split the atom. We walked on the moon. And the deadliest thing that has ever hunted us weighs less than a raindrop and hums quietly in the dark.